Boom. Live. Episode 70, dude.
The big 7-0, man. Over the
Yeah, it's
hill, man.
crazy. It's kind of mind-boggling, honestly.
Yeah. It's pretty awesome. Awesome that we made it this far.
Definitely.
And here's the 70 more. God damn it.
Well, it's going to be a lot easier to do now that we're actually doing this weekly.
Yeah. We'll be might be sometime next year we'll be at 70.
It's entirely possible. So,
Yes.
yeah. Um, what did we have in terms of news this week? I mean, I know we got that preview of Megan Hetrick showing something she's working on involving Shadow Man. That was pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, I love her art. And I'm sure it's just a cover, but man, I just think her art is so cool and stylish. And she uses a really nice color palette with all the stuff that she paints. I don't know if it's painting. I mean, she uses like a lot of Copics. But man, I mean, I'm really excited to see what it is. I hope it's not something that's going to be like a high end ratio variant kind of thing. I do like to own her stuff. I thought honestly last year when Faith #5 came out, not last year, I guess it was the year before, the infamous Hillary Clinton issue. But the Megan Hendrick cover for that, where it showed Faith flying, I thought was just a beautiful cover. And she does such great work. Um, I hope she does a lot of work with Valiant because keep those books coming. Get her on some interiors, man. Come
Yeah.
on, Valiant. Come on,
I
DMG.
loved her on Faith Interiors when she was doing that. I thought she was awesome.
Oh yeah,
So,
she brings a really
yeah.
great style to the page.
Well, and if she ends up doing interiors for a Shadow Man arc, you will not hear me complaining. I mean, unless it ends up being shitty, but based on everything we've seen from her, I think that she could do it.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to think what news came out this week. I remember. Oh, you know what we're not talking about, man. The big news is that at a retailer's function that neither of us can go to, they're gonna have cookies with Shadow Man's fucking face on them, dude. I mean,
Is
come
it
on.
cookies or
How,
cupcakes or
donuts, maybe? I don't know. I saw that and I was like, man, tell us like some like useful news. Like not to be a dick. If you're a retailer and you get to go to those things, which I don't, I've never gotten to, and I'm not a retailer or anything like that. But man, like news like that, it's just like that's just wasted. The cool thing to kind of think about though is like what kind of stuff's going to be released at the retailers function for Comics Pro because usually we get a bunch of preview books that come out. So I'm sure there'll be a preview for Shadow Man. There'll probably be a preview maybe for Harbinger Wars 2. If Valiant's got anything else cooking by that time that they announce, we might see something from there. The typical swag stuff like notepads or pens or box cutters, which people do collect the box cutters. Maybe another shot glass. I know Eric likes the shot glasses. Um,
I
Last
do
year they
love
had
me
a
some shot glasses.
yeah, they had calendars last year. We're probably not even gonna get calendars now. That's almost like its own topic to bitch about, but man,
I don't even want to open that Pandora's box, man.
man, RIP, man, rip on the calendars. That's all I got to say.
So
Um,
Hoodoo is saying that Trevor Harrison is going to be doing EXO from 14 to 18. Is he really going to do EXO interiors?
15 to 18. 15 to
15
18.
to 18. Okay.
So, so what's going to happen? This is also another bit of news that just dropped before we even came on. Um, so Exo Manowar during that time, that's when Harbinger Wars 2 is going to be taking place. But instead of having like one of those like weird crossover issues where it's like, okay, here's like what else Exo Manowar is doing during Harbinger Wars 2, or like a deeper look at what he's doing. Because Kent's writing that half of it, I would assume. He decided to do a storyline back to when Arik was just a little Visigoth, back in Rome. So he's taking it a little bit old school in the story. I don't mind that. It could be really cool. And we got those moments aplenty with Robert Venditti's run. I thought they were
That's what I
great.
was just going to say. We had some really good issues, both in one shots and annuals, and also some parts of some of the actual arcs. We had some really good Visigoth issues from Venditti's run. So I'm okay with Kent taking it to that place too, you know?
Yeah, because especially if you look at how Harbinger Wars 1 was kind of done, where you had the main story in the miniseries. The ongoings kind of touched on what was going a little bit more, but in the end, it's just like it's kind of a wasted story. Like on the especially like if you read the miniseries, it's all you really need to know. Almost, not to knock what was in those issues, but I just thought the miniseries handled it better. So I'd much rather have anything else than just like a deeper look at what's going on with the same events.
I liked um, how Armor Hunters was handled, for example, when the Exo story went and told the prequel, basically, of the Armor Hunters themselves. I thought that was a cool way to handle, keeping a title going during an event. Another good example would be how Rye was handled during the 4001 AD event. I thought that that was done really well with the Rye story again, telling a prequel to the entire previous year of books on, well, it was more than a year, but the entire previous 12 issues. It kind of gave us the lead up to what happened right before the beginning of the Rye story. So I think that in a way, this is a little bit similar to that because it is a prequel in that it happens before the story in the event, because obviously going back to Rome and everything is a long time ago. But I doubt it'll tie directly in. I mean, maybe it will thematically or something, but at least like you said, we're getting a whole other story and not just getting, the bits of the story that didn't make it into the main book.
Yeah, tie-ins kind of suck. I mean, Armor Hunters is like a great example of like the good that you can do in a tie-in an event. But I think so many times when it comes to, and this is just with comics in general, no matter what it is, Civil War, Crisis series with DC, a lot of times those tie-in issues are just they're so worthless. There's nothing important that goes on. It's nothing critical. You might get like an appearance that's kind of cool, but even like right now, like with DC Metal, which I don't really like, I think all those tie-in issues are kind of crap. So I mean, like, I would much rather we just get something totally different off the beaten path. Something that we'll enjoy. It's probably, hopefully, it's gonna be cool. I don't know about 4 issues of Arik as a Visigoth, back in those times, but I feel like the book is strong right now. So hopefully that stuff is strong too.
I mean, if it's well done, it'll be good, right? Like, I mean, as long as it's, a well-written story and the art doesn't suck, which, I mean, we know what we're going to get from Trevor Harrison. So, yeah, I mean, I'm on board with the concept of it, and then we'll just have to see how it's executed.
Yeah,
That's all we
and
can really
this
do.
15 through 18 do also include the pre-order editions. So they're still doing those, even though like we didn't know what was going to happen with those when Ninja K didn't continue them and Quantum Woody wasn't going to continue them. But XO is going to continue them. So XO must be doing really good enough that they can do these extra editions with the extra content. I'm not going to complain. So
Yeah.
pretty happy with that.
Yeah, I'm definitely not going to complain either. Um, but yeah, I mean, like I said, the concept seems sound, but all we can really do for execution is just wait and see what happens. Um, I'm I'm getting really excited for the Shadow Man book. I wish we were getting a little bit more info on that, I guess, but we do still have. Well, no, you know what? I mean, by this time last year, I think didn't we already have the first issue of Exo, like the review copy?
I want to say that is about this time last year. Yeah, we already had it. They released that 2 months ahead of
Yeah,
the release date. So by now, yeah, like I mean, we would have been. It came out on the last Wednesday of March. So that last Friday of January, we had it, and they did a few things like that last year. Where they were, the big releases that they were excited about. They released them ahead of time.
Bloodshot
Bloodshot Salvation,
Salvation.
yeah. So I don't know. Maybe they're not going to continue on doing that kind of thing, which is too bad. I'm really itching to read it. I'm trying really hard not to read any of that preview because that preview is pretty long, from what I understand, that they have out right now. But
The preview's
I know,
awesome. I read the
yeah,
preview. I'll be honest. Like I went and read it, and it got me so much more excited than I was before I read it. So, if you're already
I
excited, don't read it. You don't need to probably, but if you're kind of on the fence, I would recommend checking out the preview of Shadow Man that's out there. But yeah, my main reason of why I wish that they would put that out isn't just so that I can read it. Obviously, that's part of it. I really want to fucking read it. But the other part of it is, I'd like for, us, other podcasters, other reviewers to be able to, get an idea of what it's going to be and tell people like, yeah, this is going to be fucking awesome, right? Like, because we were able to do, well, actually, when Bloodshot Salvation #1 came out, I remember like, yeah, we read it and we won't talk too much about it, but I was kind of on the fence about it.
Well, and they
But
did it with USA also. Bloodshot USA had a preview copy that came out that had the whole first issue, and I think also that one had a digital copy that came out early to us reviewers, and we couldn't talk about it for like ever, man. I remember
yeah,
like I was like, "Come on, Eric, you got to like go get a preview copy or something." No, maybe they didn't release a digital copy. Maybe it's just that preview that
yeah,
came out early from the one of the conventions, Baltimore or something like that. I don't know.
or the Comics Pro thing. I don't know. It was something like that.
I just remember
Um,
you and I could not talk about it, and I was like, God damn it, get a fucking copy, Eric. Biggest Bloodshot fan, come on.
one thing I think is kind of weird is um, there's gonna be the Shadow Man is like the main focus of the Free Comic Book Day issue, but that comes out in May, and Shadow Man starts in March. And I guess they did that with EXO as well last year. The Free Comic Book Day issue kind of centered around EXO, but I just think that's kind of weird to like 2 months after a launch be like, this is our main thing. I feel like you should use the Free Comic Book Day issue for something that's coming up in the next month or two to get people excited for that, not to be like, go back and read a couple issues that have already come out. I don't know. Is that weird for me, or am I off base
No,
there?
it's not necessarily. Not necessarily. The one thing that they did to differentiate the XO story was that they had a different artist. So I want to say it was like Cafu who did the art, and meanwhile we were getting Thomas Jarello at the time, and the story didn't really necessarily tie into the issues that had come out. I want to say it was something that had to do with prior to issue one. What's weird about it though is that book has such a huge launch, and Valiant's sales team did a really great job getting retailers interested in the book. They were doing all sorts of incentives to get people to buy the fucking thing, and I mean it sold like crazy. So I kind of think like it's kind of like a bit of a wasted effort, just kind of like how you're saying, like people already have the book probably, if they want to read it, they're probably already reading it. Whereas maybe the first weekend in May, maybe your main focus should be Harbinger Wars 2,
Yeah.
because that's the thing that's getting ready to come out.
And that's what I'm
And not
saying
only
too,
that,
is like you can't get that Free Comic Book Day issue and be like, wow, I really like this Shadow Man concept. Hey, person who orders books at my shop, why don't you order me Shadow Man #1? Because it's already going to be months past, the ordering date. And yeah, if you're lucky, it won't be sold out and you'll be able to get a copy. But I don't know. It just seems weird to me. I remember thinking that last year with EXO, and now they're doing the exact same thing again with Shadow Man, and it just strikes me as odd.
one thing though that I noticed, at least from the DCBS standpoint of this, okay, was that DCBS was selling like cover A of Shadow Man 1 for like 99 cents, okay? And I know that they're probably trying to get like a metal glow in the dark cover for a customer or some shit like that. Who knows? But that's a big retailer, a huge retailer who's discounting that issue that much just to try to move copies. And I'm wondering if maybe that first issue doesn't have some pretty high incentives to get it just to move. Maybe there's a returnability factor. Maybe the cost is lower based upon selling other books or how many copies other shops order. But I bet you anything, I mean, Valiant's doing everything they can to make this book a huge seller. Hopefully, it's not one of those things that ends up wasted on a free comic book day book. And speaking of those books, they always end up so weird anyway, because you get a bunch of shit previewed that's never gonna come out, man. Where in the fuck is Psylords at, man? I feel like that thing's been harped on us for like two
You know
years, man.
what? I don't want to hear about this bullshit. You know what? I want Psylords as much as anybody else, but I just feel like I don't know, man. I'm to the point where I'm just sick of hearing about it. You know what I mean?
I'm
It's like
gonna
Ninjak
hey
versus the Valiant Universe, and I know I'm the one that just brought that up, but every time somebody brings that up in one of the groups, I'm like, shut the fuck up. We all know that it isn't out yet, right? Like, the
dude, I'm
group
gonna
will
say
go crazy when it's announced or when it's released, right? Like, you don't need to keep posting about it.
I'm gonna tape those 8 issues of Psylords from the '90s to a brick and throw it through the fucking Valiant office windows, dude. Like, come on, give us this shit, man. Fucking Psylords.
Good luck with that. I hope that works out well for you. Let me know how long you spend in the clink.
I'll get away with it, man.
Yeah, at least there's not like a recording somewhere of you saying that you're going to do.
Not a podcast recording.
Yeah.
Hey,
Um,
these viewers ain't gonna rat me out, okay?
all right. I need to know in the live chat who's down to protect Josh if he goes and busts a window at the Valiant headquarters.
Whatever. I'll
Dude, you
be in
could
like
rock a kill or be killed red hoodie or red balaclava.
a purple ski mask, dude. I'm gonna be like Ninjak style, dude.
Oh, there you go. You should just get one of those Ninjak masks, right?
Yeah, is that something that shops have like sent to them from
I don't
Valiant? Like
know.
that's a cool item.
How do you get those? That's what I need to know. Also,
I don't know.
live chat, tell us how to get them.
The thing that's crazy about it is that normally, even like promotional items, at least once, will end up on eBay, and I haven't seen any of those. I've seen the fucking Eternal Warrior axe on eBay before, so it's like, where the
Yeah.
hell is this like Ninjak ski mask? I'll buy that shit, man. And I'm not gonna really throw brick, people. Come on, but it's just one of those things where I get annoyed with like the stuff that's promised in those free comic days. She's like, just put the shit out. Um, Speaking of things that the company's going to put out that's different, I saw a listing on Amazon this week for a book called Harbinger Wars Compendium. And this might be the thing that we were told by Dinesh was like the new format that Valiant was thinking about tinkering around with. And what it is, it's pretty awesome, actually. In my opinion, it's pretty awesome. It's basically Bloodshot 1 through 13 and Harbinger 1 through 14 and the 4 issues of Harbinger Wars.
Wait,
And
what?
it,
It's going to be that much?
yeah, it's 31 issues for
Holy
60
shit.
bucks. Yeah, it's not just like the hardcovers, the hardcover of Harbinger Wars. It's like a fucking softcover omnibus
That's
that
awesome.
if you buy it through DCBS, it's going to be like 40 bucks, okay? Because they're going to have a discount on it. Or if you buy it through in stock trades, it's going to be heavily discounted. And I don't buy that stuff really because I'm like, oh, I got the hardcovers, but man, if Valiant starts putting out shit in a big, thick format where it's going to cost you like basically like $2 an issue, that's awesome. That's an awesome way to get into the books and to get a lot of material because people are already complaining so much about how a lot of the deluxe editions are out of print. So none of those ones are. I think Harbinger Wars is actually out of print, but it's cool, man. Like I saw that thing and I was like, man, I almost want to buy that. Like I'm not like a collector in that sense where I have to have the trades and the deluxe editions. I don't care. I just want to be able to read it once in one format. And I have the comics, but man, a compendium sounds cool, man. That sounds like a really nice format. I hope it really sells well for Valiant too. Like I hope that's a thing that people are like, gotta have it because it opens the door, to having a lot more material. At the same time, we might end up getting like a full run of like, Harbinger or Ninjak, the third series that VEI put out. It opens the door for a lot of stuff like that. So I mean, I hope it does well. Not sure if I'll buy it, but I'm game for that. That sounds cool.
That's a good point. I mean, if they're going to do 31 issues in this thing, like you said, that kind of opens the door. You could do EXO in 2 books, right? You could
Yeah,
do all of Matt Kent's Ninjak run in 1 book. That would be amazing.
yeah.
I would probably buy that. If they put out a compendium or an omnibus or whatever of the full Kent run on Ninjak, I would definitely buy that. Also,
What
they would have to include that last issue by the other writer because that issue fucking ruled.
that issue is great. Well, but think about this. Think about like, hey man, we're gonna do Bloodshot, one compendium, the whole thing, or like Bloodshot Reborn, one big fucking volume. Like I love reading those big books. I don't really like some of the Marvel omnibus because they're just a little too big. Like once you start getting into like 1,200 pages, it's like fuck, this thing's like this thing's like an assault weapon. You can just beat the shit out of someone with like one of those books. They're so big. But I'm a fan of that stuff, man. Give me a big fat compendium. It's cheap. It's a cheap way to get people into the series, and hopefully into Valiant, and hopefully they're picking up more stuff after they read that stuff and hopefully enjoy it. But I was pretty excited. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, it's supposed to come out, I think, in like May or June. So it might be on the next solicitations. It might not. It might be on like, say, like the March solicitations, if it's going to happen. Because sometimes that stuff doesn't even happen, you know. But I think that's a cool idea, man. I hope it's successful.
Yeah, I hope they do it, and then and like you said, I hope it's successful, and I hope they try it with some other titles because yeah, that seems like a good idea.
And one last thing about that, it'd be a great way to get some of the older material reprinted. Because I understand that a lot of like the old 90s Valiant shit, you could pick it up in a quarter bin, right? You know, or a dollar bin or discount bins, you know. A lot of the middle runs on some of the bigger books like Magnus and Solar, I mean, there's like 500,000 copies of some of those books in print. So they're pretty much like as cheap as can be when you find them. But it would be a good way if you're like, hey man, I really want to read like, I don't know, the first 30 issues of Exo Man of War from the old series. The omnibus is out of print. So why not do a $60 big fat soft cover book like that? Or Shadow Man. You can do 2 books of Shadow Man for like $50 each, man. I don't know. It's a cool concept. I hope they can do something with like the older material too. Just because it's there. They don't collect it very well. So
we'll have to see. I'm curious if anybody else has any other news topics or anything that happened over this last week. We only have one book to review, so I think we've got a couple other things that we're going to talk about after we review that book. But I'm just wondering if anybody knows of anything else that is conversation worthy. Oh man. Oh, one of the questions, I didn't understand it. One of the questions that was posed in the live chat from Jay is about the Shadow Man preview and whether it was a preview for the story from issue number 1 of the new series or if it was a preview for the free comic book day issue. And I'm like 99.9% sure that it's a preview of the Shadow Man number 1 story. And if it is a preview of the Shadow Man number 1, that book is going to be fucking awesome. I know you didn't read it, Josh. Oh, Sean says that he likes your vitamin water choice. Apparently, you have similar tastes. What do you got?
It's good stuff, man.
Refresh.
I drink. Yeah, this is Refresh Tropical Mango. It's pretty tasty.
Yeah,
man.
I'm rocking the good old Diet Mountain Dew, bruh.
I'm trying really hard to like not drink a lot of soda. Soda's like my big vice. I know that's gonna sound weird from like as a drinker.
Wasted
you're
on soda.
Yeah, fuck soda. That's not a vice. Smoking crack is a vice, okay? But for me, like,
have you ever sucked dick for soda? Oh, good times. Good times.
But like, I can't quit it, man. It's so fucking hard. And water is just like, it's okay, you need it, obviously, but like, this stuff's tasty, man. I don't fuck with the diet flavors because they're really bland. But hell yeah, Sean. I'm glad someone's got some good taste around here, you know, besides myself.
So when's Emerald City? When is that happening? Hoodoo was talking about Kent going to that.
That is the first week of March.
Oh, so that's not that far off.
Oh, no. And I was trying to, I hope that, I haven't had a chance to talk with either of the guys from Hoodoo. I was talking to Chris Amundsen, who's going to go for a day. And I was just letting him know, you know, those shows are a great way to get interviews. I hope Hoodoo gets a lot of them if they can, because I know last year Valiant sent out an email, Hunter sent out an email saying there was interview opportunities. So I'm hoping those guys get some because I don't get to go this year. And kind of bummed just because I think there would have been like some good opportunities to get some more audio for this or even video now that we do this, you know, figure out a way to throw one of those in.
It'd be nice to get some perspective from those people on the, you know, big change at Valiant right now. You know, I mean, a lot of us have been freaking out since DMG took over. And, It'd be nice to hear what those guys have to say. Hoodoo, which I'm assuming is Hoosier, is saying that they've got a new camera, a new mic, so they're all ready for Emerald City and doing some interviews. So
Very excited to see it, man. I hope there's a lot of cool stuff that they're able to do.
yeah,
And
I'm
the thing is,
definitely
too,
down to
like,
check that out too.
the thing is with Valiant, Valiant is really easy to get the interviews with, and the thing that's nice too, no one else contacts us and is like, hey, do you want to do some interviews with our guys at Image or like IDW? That doesn't happen, man. Valiant's like, hey, here's the people who you can do an interview with. Tell us if you're interested. We'll get back to you on a time. It's pretty neat, man. Like they at least up until now, we don't know, but prior, they were really accessible for those of us trying to do work within the industry. So I hope it continues.
So here's a question that's been posed, and I'm throwing my answer out. Do we know anything about Benjamin Hung, the guy who's taking over? I don't know if he's what is he CEO? Is he CCO? That's how little I know. And I actually tried looking the guy up. I guess he worked at Marvel before, if I'm not
He worked
mistaken.
at Marvel Studios before,
Okay, and then he's
and
been
that's all
working
I
with
know about him. And I don't know how much time he spent there.
yeah
I don't know if like his involvement is just like Iron Man 3. I mean, I have no clue, man. Like, but
COO. Okay, he's going to be the COO. Well, then I have a hard time like caring that much. Like I want to know who the CCO is, or if they're not even going to have a CCO, that's going to be kind of frustrating. Um, oh, his middle name is Zwell.
Dwell,
Zwell, yeah, Ben
Swell.
Zwell Hung.
Fuck you.
That was Sean. I'll give Sean the credit for that one. That was pretty good. Oh, he's the COO of DMG. Yeah, but what's it going to be at Valiant? That's what I care about. We need a CCO at Valiant. That was what made oh yeah, he's been on Valiant's board since last year. Because DMG has had, a majority stake in the company for a while anyway. So they've kind of had some controlling say. But yeah, now, he's going to take apparently more of a leadership role over Valiant. And yeah, I mean, we need a CCO. We need somebody creative, passionate about the characters, who is going to, push the storylines forward, push the universe forward. That was what made Dinesh so valuable. And, I'm not assuming that we're going to get another Dinesh. I think that he was kind of a diamond in the rough. It was kind of a once in a lifetime opportunity to have someone that was that big of a fan in that type of position. But we at least need somebody in that creative role who is kind of bringing the other creators together and organizing, what direction the universe is going in. That's what's given us our best events: Armor Hunters, Harbinger Wars. I think that those are the best events Valiant has done, and those come from a cohesive view of where the universe is going.
Well, and not only that, but like it's a little. I think like some of the comments that were made, and I don't want to go too crazy on this shit because we just hashed it out so much last week. But you know, are we just looking at a company that's only going to put out 5-6 books a month for the foreseeable future, no matter how much anything grows? Because they're not going to focus on the print line. They just want to fucking pump out TV shows and movies, which I'm cool with that part of it. Pump out that shit, man. I mean, even if you give me like an all right XO Manowar movie, it's still an all right XO Manowar movie. I'll probably watch it again. I think fucking Iron Man 1 is an all right movie. I'll watch it from time to time. I do enjoy it. Like just
You
give
know
me some.
what? Shut up. Iron
I mean, I want
Man
better.
1 is like the best Marvel movie.
Really?
Yeah, dude.
But my whole point just being like, I mean, just give me something that's good. But I want the print line to continue, and I want it to be strong. I want to look at it. I mean, I would love it if the line could get to like 10 books. But I do have a topic, and I left this out so that I could see it in my rear view and ask this question. I'm curious for the people. My iPad died, so I couldn't get into the chat. Does anybody know why this like cover D of Ninjak sells for stupid money on eBay? Like it's an awesome art cover. It's Marguerite Sauvage. The book is the first appearance of Roku, but I mean that's not like a rare cover. But when you see them on eBay now, they're priced high, but some have sold really high, like 40, $50. And it's like, it's a fucking D cover, man. Like,
Yeah, but it's a great cover, and I
it's
really
a
wish I still
great
had
cover.
mine.
It's a great cover. I've been seeing it and I've been seeing it brought up on places. And I'm like, am I missing something? Like, it's not a 1 in 10. And those books had a crazy amount of like 1 in 10, 1 in 20, 1 in 50, I think. Or maybe it was like a 1 in 60. I can't remember. I mean, it had a lot. And I bought a set of them from Ed Greenberg at Comics and Cards, Paradise Comics. He was doing one of those pre-order packages that he'll release on Valiant fans sometimes.
Sure.
And I think I have every single cover of issue 1.
So who did the art on Ninjak #1? Wasn't it Clay Mann?
Clay Mann.
Yeah, I thought
And
so.
that cover, that La Rosa cover, I think it is, for the first issue, it is so awesome.
Yeah, it is.
It's so just beautiful. And but this book has just been bothering me where I'm just like, man, like what do I not know? Why didn't I buy 10 of these things if that was the case? But it's good because, the great thing is that I always feel like a lot of regular covers for Valiant don't have a lot behind them, when it comes to like speculation, or not even speculation, but just like back issue heat. The only thing I can really think of like that is like Dr. Mirage, the first Dr. Mirage series, and Divinity 1, the first issue. I mean, those books go for more than cover. There's not a lot of other stuff that goes for over cover if it's not a variant. So it's just
Yeah,
really
like an
weird.
incentive. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Here's another question for you. Um, what Sean was bringing up when they were printing 9 or 10 books a month, we were all, let's get to 12, 13, 14, 15, right? Now we're down to 6 books a month, and he's saying he's dreaming of just getting back to 10. And I would rather get 6 quality books a month, 5 of which I love, 1 of which I'm all right with, as opposed to getting 15 books, 5 of which I love, a couple I'm okay with, and the rest I don't give a shit about. Right?
But I don't think there's ever a point where I was like, I don't give a shit about those books. So I mean, like for me, like I do admit I'm a tiny bit of a homer. Okay. So if there's a book Valiant's putting out, I'm gonna buy a copy of it, So, the only thing I can think of where I was just like, oh man, like I'm not digging it would probably have been, probably the low point for me would have been the Eternal Warrior first series, the 8-issue series that Greg Pak was doing. I mean, there is nothing I remember about it. It's so forgetful. And I like Pak's work. He did Planet Hulk over at Marvel. He did a few other books at Marvel that I've enjoyed. But that book, I remember like when it was launched, I was like, oh, it's gonna be great. No. And like I know like a lot of people would say like Shadow Man, and some people would say Dead Drop. But those books all have things I like about them. Like, I don't think Dead Drop is absolute dog shit like some people think. Like, it's got some moments I like in it. And the thing with Shadow Man, the later part of the run, I really like Roberto De La Torre's pencils. So, like, for me, like, it's not like a great read, but I like how it looks. So,
I love the first couple arcs of Shadow Man, and the end was not as good, but it wasn't terrible. I don't know.
Oh, and End Times is pretty atrocious too.
Yeah, well, and especially the way that End Times ended and left Shadow Man, and then we didn't have him forever until Kent brought him back, and I don't know. That's part of why I'm so excited when reading that preview of Shadow Man #1. It shows a hint of how Jack is going to like what his new attitude is going to be moving forward. Because at the end of Rapture, he kind of had come to Jesus moment, so to speak. When he went to the live side and talked to his father and all that. So now getting this new book, we're going to have him, with a different perspective. And that's what I want. I've been saying for a long time that Jack is kind of a little bitch, really,
He wimped out big time,
yeah. So it'll be really, really nice to see But getting back to the thing of number of titles, I mean, what really is the right number of titles, right? Like, I mean, kind of like what Sean said, when we had 10, we wanted 15. When we have 6, we want 10. If we had 15, would we just be crying for 20? I mean, is there going to be a number where we're like, yeah, this is the right number of books? Or
Well,
are we always going to be saying, give us more, give us less?
one thing I think about now too, like, because I mean, like I used to be a heavy Marvel buyer, and I don't think I bought every book Marvel put out. So I don't think I was ever like, oh man, we've got 50 ongoings. Why can't we get 55? I don't think that never happens. I was like, fuck man, I got like 8 X-Men books, but why can't I get 10 X-Men books?
There's 7 Batman books, but why aren't there 8?
But I'll tell you what though, when I was a kid, we had Amazing Spider-Man, Spectacular Spider-Man, and Web of Spider-Man. And when I was a kid, I look back on those issues pretty fond. I think, man, if they would have put out a 4th Spider-Man book, I'd have bought it and I'd have been happy. Because in the 80s, that book was fucking good. But now it's just like you couldn't do that. The market's so different now that as much as a lot of us say, like, man, why can't we get 10 books? Or hey, if we had 10, could we get 15? The thing is that the industry has changed so much. There's different checks and balances put into place to make sure that like things aren't going to crash again. Everything is so incentive heavy and speculator heavy, and it's just like, what would we even get that we like, and would we, if we got the things that we had, would we be like, no, that's not what we want. We want this instead. Like if Valiant launched a new title, like we get the next, not Divinity, but like a next Divinity like thing where it's like a brand new thing we don't know. Would people be like, why the hell are we getting that? Why am I not getting fucking another Ninjak book? Or why am I not getting Armorines or something like that? Like ultimately none of us are ever going to be happy completely with like what Valiant does. But my whole fear of it, the only reason why I even brought it up is just because I feel like if things were going good, at least with the Nash and Warren and all that, there is that possibility that more books would happen. And now that we have a guy who comes in and says, hey, I don't give a shit, I just want TV shows, I'm a little bit like, God damn, even if the books were like selling really well, would we get more books? I would hope so. Especially since I think that, like, I know for me, I know there's a lot of people like me that buy one of everything, so it's like a lot of people would buy a 7th book and an 8th book and a 9th book. I'd hope they'd be good. Obviously.
But would you buy the 20th book? Like, are you know what I mean? Like, that's what I wonder. Like, if Valiant was putting out 20 books a month, would I be 100% on board on buying every single issue? It would be a bigger commitment.
It would depend on what DCBS's price is for the whole bundle.
Right?
Because I mean, the thing is, like, right now it's like $10, man. Like, how do you not buy 6 books for $10, man? Holy shit! I mean, that's a crazy deal. Or like $12. I mean, like, it's really, I mean, it's like half price, But I would try. It would just mean I wouldn't get something else that I really want, though, and that's where the problem lies, because I try to stay within a budget buying my monthly books. I try to stay under $100 before shipping on DCBS, and there are months when I'm like, I got a lot of stuff, and then there's months where I'm like, I got like 5 things.
Yeah. I buy all the Valiant stuff in my local shop to support them, so I don't ever buy that stuff on DCBS. Yeah.
Well, I buy all the pre-order in my local shop, so I'm buying double.
Yeah, I buy too much double. Yeah. I don't know, man. I would have a harder time committing to buying every single. I would be a lot pickier if it was 20 books a month, Like, I might not buy the Faith title, right? If there was a Faith title in that 20 books, I might not buy, there are certain books that I would, read the review copies and we can still talk about them, but I probably wouldn't have them in my collection because, it would be a lot harder to keep up on. That's a series, like 20 books a month. That's like $80 plus tax if you're buying it at a local shop. Like, that's a pretty big commitment.
I know, and then you're like, I can't afford the deluxe editions because there's like 20 of them now. I got to keep a track of.
Yeah, but
and then
anyway,
the events are just like a mini series and 20 tie-ins at least. Like,
oh, which is what we definitely need.
Which is what, like, But that's what like Marvel was in the 2000s. You know, like when Civil War came out, it was like you're buying Civil War. Everything ties into Civil War with like 3-4 issues. It was fucking hard. And I'll say this, I thought Civil War was really good. So like it was really hard to be like, man, I gotta buy like a lot of shit that I'm not normally buying because I just like Civil War so much. And then half of it was just bunk shit, you know? Like
Yeah.
anyway, we can move on.
Let's do this review. We're going to get into the one book that came out this week, which is do you have your copy there, sir?
I didn't go to a shop this week.
Why? Come on, man. Look at that. That's actually a cool cover, right? Like,
yeah, the 8 cover is awesome.
I actually think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, there was one cover. I want to say it was the Reap cover. I was like, that cover is not great. And I love Reap, but it just looked kind of odd.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like this cover. I was ready to hate this issue, to be honest.
You're just gonna hate it?
I was ready. I was prepared before I read it to just be like, this is like, honestly, if we didn't do this podcast and I wasn't such a big Valiant fan, like a fan of the company, I wouldn't have bought this book. Like I wouldn't have given it a chance, right? But I'm really glad that I did, you know, because I did actually enjoy it. Oh, and for anybody that's watching or listening to this after the recording, we are going to go into spoilers for this book. If you haven't read it, I recommend it. Like I said, I was ready to hate it and I enjoyed it. So even if you didn't think you were going to read it, I recommend finding a copy and checking it out.
Yeah. So you know, for me, I loved it, man. And my thought going into it though was that we'd gotten a lot of one shots last year, and they were okay. They were okay books, you know, but
Some
none of them were
really
like,
good.
yeah, a couple were really good, but a couple of them were just like, I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm never reading the fucking Shadow Man Ray Strumman one shot ever again, probably, you know, like.
Yeah, I don't know that I'll ever have to go back and read Rye in the History of the Valiant Universe again.
No one ever should that reads Valiant. If you don't read Valiant, you should give that copy to someone and see if they like the books. But that's that book. I mean, but like that's what I'm kind of getting at was that like, you know, some of those books were just so bad. I was like, I don't know if I care. But I did read it and I really liked it. And to me, it felt like maybe like issue 26 of Fred Van Lente's Archer and Armstrong run, because we didn't get that issue. You know, book ended series ended at 25. So this book to me felt like just a continuation of what he's done with the characters. And I just loved it, man. Like, honestly, like, it sounds weird, but a book about Armstrong going to Taiwan with a bunch of his friends in the Valiant universe at a vault of spirits, which is basically just a vault of alcohol that can only be open for 1 hour. It doesn't sound like a great story if you think about that premise. It was excellent. There was so many little things in it that I really enjoyed. For one, I was really happy to see a book where Neela and Ivar occupied the same time and space, you know.
That was a big deal for me because we haven't really seen Ivar since Ivar Time Walker ended. Like, he's maybe popped up here and there 1 or 2 times, but he hasn't really been part of a story like this. So for him to kind of come in, you know, because like we got all the Time Walker stuff in Faith in the Future Force, right? And that was all Neela. And that's cool. I like Neela, and I like her fucking companion. What's her name? I don't remember her name.
Ankh.
There you go, Ankh. I like that character. But yeah, I love Ivar. I like Ivar a lot more. And I think Neela is better with Ivar around because they piss each other off so much. I've really been wanting more Ivar. I loved the Ivar Time Walker books so much that even if it's just in this one issue and he's kind of the subplot with him I don't even remember. I read this issue once, so I don't even remember. But, you know, he was just talking to one other character the whole time, and you didn't really get a whole lot from him. Neela wasn't able to go in the same room as him, so you didn't really get to see them interact or anything. But it still made me really happy to kind of get a moment with Ivar. We even got character development in the little bit of space that we had with him. Yeah, that was probably my favorite part of the entire issue.
I don't know if it was my favorite, but it's up there, man. And you know, the one question I had coming out of that was like, when did Ivar do this? You know, because I feel like the Neela stuff.
You could ask that question with anything, right? Like anything, anytime Ivar shows up. Like that's what Armstrong was saying. like Ivar showed up in a bad mood, and Armstrong's like, "Did you just come from a timeline where I pissed you off? Because like for you was the last time we saw each other a bad experience, or what's going on?"
So, kind of the gist of the story was that all these people are going to Armstrong's vault at the same
Punk
time.
Mambo was there.
Punk Mambo, Quantum, and Woody, fucking the delinquents team up, man. Hell yeah! So like, across the street from this whole thing, what's going on is like the sect, and they're all brewing for some revenge. They've all got a bottle of something that they feel like if they can grab it, it's going to benefit them greatly. And there's one character in it that's a little more shrouded in secrecy and shadow, and you find out that he's basically like a descendant of Noah from Noah's Ark, and all the Noah's Ark stuff was so hilarious.
It was ridiculous. And I thought it was perfect. As an atheist, someone who doesn't believe in those stories, I thought it was a really, really I thought it was a really interesting way to present that whole story.
Yeah. And I'm the same way, because at first when they started bringing up Noah's Ark and some other stuff as it kept going along, I was like, oh man, like they're doing like the biblical quotes in like the caption box, and I was like, man, where's this going? Like, ooh, it's getting kind of weird, but it writes itself, in my opinion, and probably in Eric's opinion, to a place more manageable for everyone. And but that stuff was great. The art on the flashback sequences was Derek Robertson. I thought he looked pretty good there. Cafu did the rest of the issue. It just looked awesome. The only thing I wished a little bit more of, though, was like, I really like the delinquents. So I was kind of hoping we get a little bit more interaction between Archer and Armstrong and Quantum and Woody, just because like they're in the same place.
Quantum and Woody did almost nothing in this issue.
Yeah, they're kind of just like basically they take up space in the background.
Sean brought up the fact that Faith let that dude die. Well, and said that he didn't really like that. That was the part of the issue he didn't like. For me, like, number one, that guy was a douche. And yeah, he kind of was redeemable a little bit. But
hold on here. We don't know if he's dead. He might.
That's what I was going to say. The other thing is we don't know if he's dead.
Well, because here's the thing too, man. Like, the one thing about the way this was written is like you couldn't tell if necessarily like he was an immortal or if he was just like, hey, our family for 2,000 years has just been fuck ups, and I'm just the latest fuck up. So like for me, that guy might just be kicking it, man, getting drunk. Maybe he comes out next year, Maybe they bring that back up in a year, like in another book. Who knows?
We'll get Armstrong in the Vault of Spirits #2 in a year, and that guy's in there just wasted.
Yeah, and the vault's empty.
Survived on wine for a year.
But one thing I did think was actually like a really nice way to wrap the issue up was Punk Mambo's involvement, where she basically, I don't know like how you would even describe it really. Like there's just like a presence of Galad that ends up at the table, and you find out that Armstrong wants to do something nice for Ivar by having all three of them together for a drink. And I thought it was just like a really cool moment, like the way the book ended, I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, no, I agree. I like Punk Mambo quite a bit, and so I'm down for her showing up in different books. This is also one of those issues that kind of shows the interconnectivity of the Valiant universe, and I think that there was a long period where a lot of us fans were kind of wondering where that interconnectedness went.
It's Punk Mambo, man. She shows up everywhere, man. She
right?
is like, she was in Rapture. She was in Bloodshot Salvation. She's gonna show up somewhere else too, man. Like, she's just like the person that can kind of like mingle. She's not too serious. She's a pretty fun character, so she can kind of fit in just all over the place, man.
Yeah. Hopefully she'll show up in some more Shadow Man. That would be cool. Yeah, Sean is saying that guy, probably couldn't survive for an entire year on just wine. And yeah, that's true. And maybe he will die. But I mean, if you read the issue, it was either leave Armstrong trapped down there for an entire year with that guy or say, you know what I mean? Like she did not have the option to save both of them. and she chose to save Armstrong. And maybe she should have left Armstrong down there. I mean, he probably would have survived for a year with no food.
Well, he probably could have because he could have went into a satchel.
Yeah. Well, he could have gone to a satchel, or the fact that he has enough life force, right? Like he has enough life force in him that he probably could have made it. Oh, Sean is saying Faith could have used your companion field. I don't know. She had to make a snap decision. I don't really care. That guy was a douche. It doesn't really bother me that much.
I think it worked for the story how everything kind of played out, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm fine with it. It's definitely not something I'm going to lose sleep over. He's not a character that I really feel the need to see again, honestly.
Well, if he shows up on a Quid set, I'm going to be pretty pissed he's dead.
I'm sorry, what was that? Okay. I dropped my phone.
Oh my gosh. You don't need
it. I'm doing shit. Chris from Calgary. Oh yeah, he's saying they could have used Dr. Mirage for the bit with Galad because that's kind of her thing. That's a good point. They could have, but I don't like that character, so I'm fine not using it. What? Dude, both of the Dr. Mirage books were terrible. Like, I know that they weren't actually horribly written, but they were boring as fuck to me.
Man, I'll tell you what, man. I get a little bit of the criticism of the second series. It's okay, but that first one is really strong. That's some really good stuff, man. That's just my opinion. I mean, everybody has their own opinions, but I love that first series, man. You know what though? Can't have Doc Mirage, man, because she's not Punk Mambo. Punk Mambo is the one that can hang anywhere, man. Not Dr. Mirage. And dude, we're gonna get more Punk Mambo in Ninja K as the coalition.
You mean you're gonna get more Dr. Mirage?
Isn't Punk Mambo gonna be in it too?
Is she? I thought it was just Dr. Mirage.
Well, it's gonna be more than just Dr. Mirage.
We'll find out.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be Punk Mambo, man. She's like Fred Pierce's favorite Valiant character. So like they put her out all over the place.
She's an awesome character. Awesome. I think for negatives for me on this issue, is I'm getting I'm kind of done with Andrew Dahlhouse's coloring and how he makes because if you go back and look at the Gen Zero book and the way he colored Portella's art, if you look at this book, Rapture, I think he did over Cafu's art as well. He did the colors. And there's something that he does to like try to make the character, like everything look 3D on the page. And it just bothers me. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. Like I did think that the book sometimes had like a weird, like a little too bright at times, you know, a little bit like almost like there's too much light on the characters.
I'm not even talking about that. It's like it almost makes it look like the art is CG. You know what I mean? Like the way that he colors it all like 3D and stuff. Sean saying that the Dr. Mirage CW show is going to be a train wreck. Who knows if it'll even get past a pilot, if we'll ever even see it. I don't know. Chris also mentioned that EXO helped Dr. Mirage paint her house. So she's, connected to Valiant Universe before as well. And yeah, we could have had her in that book, but I don't think if you're thinking of people that you want to get together to drink with, is Dr. Mirage really the person you're going to call to drink with? Like, I would call Punk Mumbo over for a drink. Like, I would want to sit down and have a drink with her. I think she would probably have some crazy ass stories when you get drunk, right? Yeah. Dr. Mirage just seems like she would be a bummer the whole time.
Well, she's finally got her husband back. We don't really know how she is too much. You know, we haven't had too much Dr. Mirage since she finally found her husband's spirit.
Yeah, I don't know. I just am not a big fan of that character.
Okay.
But anyway, we can score this book. For me, I don't know, man. I mean, the writing was good. It was a lot of fun. There were some problems with the art. I did actually like Derek Robertson's contribution to this book, even though he's definitely not my favorite artist. But I do think overall this is a pretty good book. I would probably go with a 3.5 on it. Not real high, not super low or anything. Yeah. But
still need to like it, you know. I did write a review of it. And my review score was like 4.3 with the way that I Outright Geekery kind of averages out the star rating. So you can put it like at about 4.25. It was really fun. I feel like Fred Van Lente is like just like an awesome guy that doesn't get enough credit for like what he does, man. Like
Yeah.
he's still like the best dude ever handle Archer and Armstrong. Um, they need to just give this dude like some work, man. Just give him an ongoing. I mean, I know he just had one that didn't fare too well, but I just feel like the next time they want to do some of these characters, maybe he doesn't want to do an ongoing of them, but he's just like the perfect guy. He's the best writer of.
Yeah, I think that Gen Zero failed because of the characters. Like, not enough people knew the characters or really cared about them. And I think I don't because that book did not fail because of the art, right? The art was always great in that book. I don't think
Yeah.
the book failed because of the writing. I think the writing was solid. Um,
People just didn't
so
like the take, is what I think it is, and they didn't know the characters.
yeah. See, to me, like I also those were not though my favorite versions of some of those characters. I think Chris from Calgary can back me up on this one. Telek is an amazing character, especially the way that she was handled prior to that Gen Zero book. But once we got into Gen Zero, I just don't think that she's just not the same character. I think she was awesome and had a lot of potential, and now she's dead.
I think it had a great first issue though. Like, I mean, like that's the thing I think about a lot of the books that Valiant did last year. Like, a lot of them just had really strong first issues, and then it just kind of dived. Gen Zero is the one I think of too, where it's like first issue was just excellent, and then from there it's like it was just an okay book. Like it maybe like, but and I also wonder too, like I think the Rook stuff we'll probably never see any more of it again.
Yeah,
Rook
yeah. Well, because Rook is gone though, right? Like, I mean, that town pretty much got wiped off the map.
One way or another, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
How much time we got left?
I don't know, man. There's no time limit.
Okay.
Now that we're done talking Valiant, I don't know. Do you guys, if anybody else has any other topics? Well, one thing, I was saying like, who would you drink with if you were Armstrong, right? Um, A Port. I don't know. I feel like I should know this guy's name, and it's not coming to me. Is it Anthony? Am I a total?
Ant Port. Yeah. Anthony.
Okay.
Ant. I think he goes. I think his name on Facebook is Ant. I think.
Okay.
I think he just.
I don't fucking know.
I don't know. I know. I think I know who you're talking about. I think I recognize the name.
Okay.
But
He was saying he would drink with Auric, right? Drink with royalty. I think that's a good call, right? Yeah. I don't know. I'm such a big Bloodshot fan. If I had a choice, I would drink with Bloodshot. But then what it would turn into is him just crying about all the problems in his life. That's the thing that I've realized about Bloodshot is that he's pretty what's the word I'm looking for? Woe is me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's a bit down on himself. He's got problems. The thing is though, could he even get drunk with the nanites?
Well, the nanites are turned off now, so now you just be drinking with Ray.
Oh, okay. Well, if you drink with Ray, then Ray's a downer. Okay, but Bloodshot has fun. Bloodshot ain't taking no shorts, so he might be the fun guy to drink with. He might not get drunk, but I bet he's still fun. It's just that Ray side is just like sappy, pissed off, and just a broken man, basically. But Auric, I think that's actually a great answer because we've seen a lot of human sides to him, but I don't think we've seen that side to him. We're like drunken bender. Auric, where's that fucking one shot from Fred Van Lente? Auric and Armstrong get hammered drunk, cruise the town, cruise New York, looking for fun. That book sells itself. Come on.
I've been watching through the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies, and I watched the first Thor not that long ago. And I remember when they're in the restaurant, and he just like throws his cup on the ground. Like I can just imagine Auric being like that. Like if you got him drunk in a bar, he'd be going around just like breaking stuff. It's like celebratory, smashing things. Pull out his energy sword and just like slice shit up for fun because he's wasted.
Hell yeah! Hell yeah, man. Drunk Armstrong and Auric, man. That book. Give me that one shot, man. Valiant needs to
Yeah.
do like a contest where they take like writers, like the fans' ideas for a book, and they have to have someone write it. That's what they need.
Sean said Armstrong tries on the armor while they're piss ass drunk.
And peas in it.
And of course he would pee in it.
And Sean Harrow just
Oh,
like kicks him out. Be awesome.
that's awesome. That would actually be a really fun book. But
Oh.
okay, so
It'd make
now I don't
those fans
know
so unhappy though.
what's that.
All the old, like age-wise, old fans would just think it's not that cool, which is what would make it cool.
But like, this shit's lame.
All the 70-year-olds over on V fans would be like, "Oh, come on! Only if Shooter did it."
If Shooter did it, it would have been cool. Okay, so something non-Valiant that I've gotten into recently, and I'm gonna kind of ride for a little bit to see how it goes, is the new initiative over at DC, their New Age of Heroes, and they've put out 2 books so far, 2 number ones, and that is Damage and Silencer. Yeah, you've got the Silencer. I got that bad boy too. Do you have a Damage number 1, Josh? Are you cool like me?
I have it, but I don't have it. I don't know where it's at.
So you don't have it.
Well, it's somewhere.
uh, yeah, that fold out is pretty crazy, man.
Yeah, but double-sided.
Yeah, and I would imagine
I
if you,
can't show it very well here.
yeah,
But
what I imagine if you take them all off from all the number ones, it's probably going to make one gigantic poster or something.
yeah, yeah, it's kind of neat. There's like 8 books I think they're doing.
Well, the cool thing about it is there's a lot of Valiant talent on this new initiative from DC. Damage number 1, written by Venditti, right? Silencer doesn't have any Valiant talent on it, but then Lemire is involved in a couple of these books. Justin Jordan.
I think Dan Abnett was like he was a back in the day acclaimed dude. I think
okay.
I think he might have had some V1 work too.
Oh, I have no idea. If it wasn't VEI, does it really
I'm not
count?
saying he wrote anything that like is like great. I'm just saying I think he had work though back in the day. But yeah,
he wrote some stuff.
Here's a page right here that they got like 8 books. I don't care if my book gets folded. I don't give a shit about this. But
he's fucking that shit up, man.
Yeah, they got like the new challengers, like the new challengers of the unknown, the unexpected, the curse of brimstone, like
the Terrifics.
Yeah, and I think the Terrifics is the Lemire book. But
yeah, it's a Fantastic Four analog.
I know that like I've listened to like some people talking about the books, and they're like, "Well, I don't know how excited I am for any of them." But the thing about it is that like those same people were like, "I'm not very excited for Damage. I'm not very excited for Silencer." I enjoyed both issues.
Yeah,
like they weren't bad at all. So, I don't know if it's enough to sustain the line. I think comic fans sometimes are a little too fickle, especially when it comes to like stuff from the big 2. But I don't know. These are actually just kind of like fun books, man. Damage is a whole lot of fun. He's basically
I think the Damage was a lot of fun. It was really interesting and very character oriented, which is something that I like. And then Silencer, as much as I don't really like John Romita Jr.'s art,
his art's way better here though than it's been in a lot of books.
Yeah,
so if you don't
agree with that.
You really don't like his art because his art. When I was looking through this today, I was like, man, his art looks okay here, but a lot of times I hate how his shit looks.
Yeah. They did like a statue of Superman based on a John Romita Jr. drawing, and it was fucking horrible. It seriously looked like there was like his face got fucked up. But Silencer I thought was really fucking awesome. It was like a little bit of Bloodshot, a little bit of Punisher, a little bit of like Deathstroke.
Yeah.
And kind of all rolled into this one character, and I thought it was really, really well done.
Yeah, I'm really, the thing is, like, I think Damage will be a book that plays in a little bit more with like the DCU, because I think like in issue 2 he's going to go up against like the Suicide Squad, but this one seems a little bit more dark, a little bit more like secretive in like the way the characters' motives are and things like that. It's a book that we talked about, like, oh, do we want to talk about these books? I think we were talking about them last week. And I was like, yeah, we can. And I was like, maybe I'll go pick up Silencer. And I was actually pretty shocked at how much I liked it, you know. And I'd already kind of had a preconceived notion that I wasn't going to buy it because I'm not a big fan of Dan Abnett. Um, I'm not a big fan of John Romita Jr.'s work anymore. So I was like, I'm probably going to pass on it. But I enjoyed it. And sometimes that's kind of the neat thing about comics when you already think like, oh, this book's going to suck ass. I don't want to spend money on it. And then you spend the
Yeah.
money anyway because you're on a podcast and you're like, oh, I actually liked it, you know? So, but again, I think Damage was the better book. I just, because to me, like, a guy who's the Hulk for like 1 hour and the art was a lot better. Like, Tony Daniels draws a lot better than John Romita Jr. does.
Yeah.
It just was a lot of fun, man. It was a lot of like shit breaking and blowing up and shit going down, you know? And this was like, it was good. Both books were excellent. So, I mean, I'm definitely on board with it.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep reading them. I'm looking forward. Like some of them, like the Brimstone one, I think seems really weird. Um, I don't know, some like the Terrifics being basically just another Fantastic Four. I don't know how great that's gonna be, but I
But
don't know.
like I think in some of these books, like let me pull up the ad one more fucking time, man. Um, some of them are using like characters that exist already, right? And like I think the Terrifics has like Metamorpho and Mr. Terrific. And on a book like that, I'll actually be really curious about what you think of it because I know that like you've been a reader of comics for like 6 years or so. So like you probably haven't read a whole lot of shit with like Mr. Terrific or
Right.
Metamorpho. So I'll be kind of curious to see like that viewpoint, the person who isn't familiar with the characters, how they appreciate the book or if they do, you know. I think like it's Lemire, so we both just like Lemire stuff a lot, you
He's
know.
great.
So, but I don't know, even like the weird books, I'll give it an issue. You know, Brimstone, give me that first issue. Let's see what it's about. You know, I'm open
I'm
for
just
it.
buying the New Age of DC Heroes bundle on DCBS now. I'm just
So
gonna
they
buy
do have a
that
bundle.
bundle. Yeah, they got it all bundled. So I'm just gonna keep buying that bundle until it all turns to shit. Because it's like $6 for the February for the bundle this month, and it has I don't even know, it has a bunch of it's like $1 a book or something like that.
You know,
Um,
I was doing that for Gerard Way's like Young Animal line, like Doom Patrol and Cave Carson has an Interstellar Eye and Shade the Changing Girl. I think Mother Panic was part of it by Jody Hauser. And I didn't give a shit about any of it, man. Like I love Doom Patrol. Always was a big Doom Patrol fan. Like as a teenager, I've read all of it. I could care less about Gerard Way's Doom Patrol, and I ended up just scrapping the whole line. Like I don't buy any of it, even though like Mother Panic was all right, you know. I just found myself not caring, you know, like, and I guess like as a reader, I am the kind of person who like if you show me something new like that, like hey, we're gonna do like 5 or 6 books with these characters and it's their own little thing. I'm into it, man, because that's kind of like what reading Valiant's like. You know, like its own little small interconnected universe. Like a thing like the New Age of Heroes, 8 books that are like kind of like that. I'm down. Sign me up. You know,
yeah.
just as
Yeah, as
long as
soon
it's
as it
good.
loses its way and stops being fun, I'll drop it. That's fine. But for now,
Yeah,
as long as it keeps being this cool, I'm definitely on board with it.
yeah.
The live chat right now is going crazy. Not going crazy because not that many people are talking, but we're just talking about animated stuff, from Valiant. I think that that's something that we've chatted about a few times, and I think that we both agree that that would be awesome to get, right?
Yeah, if you could get me like DC quality animation, or even like I think last time we talked about like I used to like a lot of the DC cartoons that they put out like on like Cartoon Network, things like that. You know, like Batman the Animated Series, Justice League
Yeah.
Unlimited, stuff like that. Those all had like good voice work. Those shows were a bit serious. They weren't like Teen Titans Go, and so like and they just felt like comic book versions of the characters animated. I would be okay with that. Like I'm okay with that. I don't give a shit about watching cartoons. I watch cartoons all day, man.
I would love like a Bloodshot or Exo animated movie. Sean was talking about a Divinity animated movie series, and I just feel like Divinity is best suited for the comic format. I have a really hard time imagining Divinity working in a different format.
But I also kind of think too, like that character's got like such kind of like far out their abilities, you know, like cartoon might work just because like the budget for that versus like trying to make that thing work like live action. It'd be interesting to see. You know, I bet the cartoon way would be a little bit easier, but
Chris from Calgary was saying like a Rye series. I think if you did Rye, like if you've ever seen Clone Wars, that's that Star Wars animated series, it's like
yep,
CG. I think you could do Rye like that, and it would look, kind of similar to Clayton Crane's art. I think that would be really, really cool.
yeah,
Um, Other than that, I mean, you could do like a Harbinger animated TV series, like the Batman animated series. I think a Harbinger would be awesome. Being long form, a long form animated series. Um, uh, Aunt Port was saying Spider Aliens would look great in an animated series. Um, I didn't know they existed in VEI. I didn't remember that, but I guess they're on
I'm
new
trying. I
loan, is
think
what he
I
said.
think that a bunch of us had talked about it on one of our episodes. I think you and I talked about it. I'm trying to think what issue of Riot is, where like that weird like prison sector had what appeared to be like a spider alien,
Sure.
something close to it.
Speaking of which, I want more of what was that, the War Core?
Yeah, the War Core. Like that's another thing. It's like
They were fucking
could be
awesome,
cool.
and they only were like showed up a little bit and then they were gone, but they were cool as fuck.
They had a couple panels,
Yeah. Yeah, I'd be down to see more of them.
but
Um,
that's what I say all the time, like about the 4001 timeline, man. That gets so untapped. There's so much that can be done, man. Fucking Sean Hara's got to be kicking it somewhere, man. Like for reals, getting ready. Like someone can wear that thing. We got Bloodshot, you got Shadow Man, you got a great lineup in that timeline, man. They need to be pumping out some shit with that.
oh, Isaac in the Rye timeline, he was a spider alien, wasn't he?
I think so. I think that's the one I'm talking about. Wasn't he in the prison? I'd have
I
to go
don't
back
know.
and read
Well,
Rye again.
no,
I've
they
read.
found him in like the sewers and stuff. Lula found him down in the sewers, and he was like fucking eating people and shit. I don't know.
I can't reach my hardcover, so I'm not going to look.
I don't fucking know. But we could probably talk all day if we really wanted to. I don't
We
have a
could
whole lot of
all
other
day, all night, man.
yeah, it's like it's coming up on my bedtime now, man. I'm an old man.
Well, mine too.
uh so I don't know. I wish, when we get books like this, Armstrong and the Vault of Spirits, um, as much as I did end up enjoying the book, because I gave it a chance, since I knew we would be reviewing it, and I'm a big fan of Valiant as a company, so I do buy all their books that they put out. So that, those two reasons are why I gave it a chance and read it, and I'm glad I ended up enjoying it, and it was worth, buying and adding to my collection. But I think that this feels kind of similar to when we get those no books in a week, right? Like if you're going to put out a book like Armstrong and the Vault of Spirits, I kind of feel like it needs to be with something else like an EXO or Bloodshot Salvation or something like that. Putting it out on its own, I mean, on the one hand, yeah, it does kind of put the spotlight on that book since it's the only Valiant book out for the week. But yeah, and like Sean said, it's weird to see that one shot carrying the week, and that's kind of what I'm saying. We've got this entire week that is just based on this one shot that really, in the scheme of things, has pretty much no impact on the Valiant universe. The only character that this did anything to is a character that was created in this issue.
Yeah. And I remember like back in the day when we were doing this, we used to always talk about how certain books would just get like kind of buried by the release of something else. Like Gen Zero, I think, was a prime example where whenever Gen Zero came out, something big came out that same Wednesday where we'd be like, oh, yeah, like this fucking giant title came out just now. And yeah, and Gen Zero too. Just like get buried
Also Gen Zero.
weight of like a bigger title. So I don't know. I kind of feel like my whole thing, I guess, really is that I just feel like Valiant should find a way to not have empty weeks because at that point you've already lost the week. Like you have no presence of new titles that come out that week. There's nothing for people to talk about that week for you.
Yeah.
You need to always find a way to have at least one title. I mean, they don't even put out a fucking trade those weeks, man. Like those are books. I mean, those are weeks that nothing comes out.
Yeah, it's a bummer. But I'm just saying, like having a week with a book like Armstrong and the Vault of Spirits as the only book, it feels pretty close to being a no book week because
Kinda.
that doesn't carry a lot of weight, right? Like I don't feel like non-Valiant fans are going to grab that one shot as a like, oh, I've never tried this company before. This is where I'm going to jump in. Like that just I don't see that happening.
Well, and that definitely wouldn't be a great jumping on point because I
Right.
mean,
You would be
it doesn't
confused as
explain
fuck. Like what the hell is going on?
because you'd be like, why the fuck are these guys, these superhero guys in the background doing nothing at all? You know, like
And who gives a shit about Noah's Ark? Like, what does that have to do with the fucking vault? With the and like there'd be so much that you wouldn't understand. Like Armstrong's vault having technology from 4002, right?
yeah,
Like,
you'd have a lot of questions. I mean, but
yeah. So
those
I
things
don't
are
know.
for us fans though that already exist.
So this is why I'm saying like Rye and the History of the Valiant Universe, that book would make sense to put out on its own in a week, right? Like if you were going to have like one book that week and that was the one, that is a one shot makes sense because at least a new reader can pick that up and get something out of it. I just don't think that it's the same thing with Vault of Spirits, but maybe that's just
Yeah.
me. Um, I don't know. We've rambled and yammered on. I suppose we could probably get to rolling. Thank you, everybody, for watching and interacting with us. I love talking to people in the live chat. And come back next week. We've been really consistent since we started doing this. I'm going to try to stick to every Thursday night. Coming to you live, talking about
Every Thursday night. Yes.
boom, same bat place, same bat time, same bat channel. Same blood channel for Bloodshot. I don't know.
Same blood time, same blood channel.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
And real quick, before we get off, if you guys need to interact with us, we're all over the place, man. We've got Twitter at the Get Valiant. We've got this lovely YouTube channel. We've got our Facebook page, the Get Valiant page. We have email, getvaliant@gmail.com. I mean, if you have a thing that you need to get off your chest with us, you have a way to get a hold of us, man. So never feel like you can't talk to us. We're here to talk.
Yeah, you could probably even message us on Facebook if you wanted to.
You're probably already our fucking friend, okay? Like,
there's a pretty good chance. But yeah, thanks everybody for checking this out and enjoying this week of, I was going to say books, but really it was one book. And if there are other non-Valiant things that you want to hear us talk about, Sean says LinkedIn. No, Sean, we don't have a fucking LinkedIn.
No Snapchat. No MySpace.
Yeah, no Marco Polo.
My instant messenger, it got closed when AOL did it. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, if there are other non-Valiant things, like I like talking about Valiant. I love that we do that, but it's also nice to get to talk about something else. That's why I wanted to talk about New Age of DC Heroes, even though I know not everybody, like Chris from Calgary, gives a shit about DC and their books, and that's fine. And we got a new guy, Chris Ferguson, popping on right as we're getting done. Sorry about that, guy. Yeah, I mean, if there's other non-Valiant stuff that you want to hear us talk about, let us know that.
One more thing, real quick. Today we started getting back to work on trying to get these episodes into our podcast versions. So if you are a podcast subscriber, they're coming. We're getting on it. So we don't want to lose those listeners either. But it's a lot of work to do everything. To try to reach everybody that we are. So hopefully in the coming weeks we'll get back to having this live episode for you guys on Thursday, and then if you want to wait, we'll have the podcast episode that follows shortly after.
For sure. Cool. Well, again, thank you everybody for joining us. Hopefully you're able to join us next week. Because we have this awesome feature with the live chat, come with ideas, come with suggestions for us to talk about. Some people want all Valiant all the time, but then we would just have less time to spend with you lovely folks.
Yeah,
and you can keep talking Valiant shit while we're talking about shit that's not Valiant.
Well, if those people can get DMG to do something instead of being fucking quiet all the time, then maybe we could do a lot more Valiant talk, okay? Oh.
Oh, man. Well, again, thank you everybody for joining us. Hopefully we see you next time. Signing off, I'm Eric Baumgard.
I'm Josh Rathbun.
And I hope that you all stay Valiant and stay DMG while you're at it.
Stay whatever. Just come show up.